run through it real quick like I always do. See if anybody has any questions at the end. So, for services this month for Village of Cleves, we have 6 emergency details. Then for EMS, we had 25 total EMS details. Page 3 kind of breaks those down for you. What shows you what the other villages in the unincorporated area is doing too. Same thing with page 4 shows you kind of that, both those, and the bar graph on page 5. Top of page 6 shows you our staffing levels. We're still struggling with the staffing. I mean, we're doing the best we can. I spent yesterday from 8 in the morning till about 5:30 last night interviewing the graduating class from Scarlet Oaks. I can't even tell you how competitive this is getting. I just can't even, you'd be amazed at what I learned yesterday. There was probably more than 20 departments that sent people out to interview 19 kids. Out of the 19, 5 of them have already been offered full-time positions. So while we were there, I learned Westchester Fire Department is hiring 17 full-time, Fairfield's hiring 23 full-time, and that doesn't include the city and all the departments around us. So if you know anybody that wants to be a firefighter, Scarlet Oaks, I'll drive them out there myself.
Are they getting to them before us?
I think what happens is the folks out there, kind of what I learned yesterday, is a lot of the folks out there at Scarlet are either retired firefighters or current firefighters that are the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously, advertising for the departments, so. We got a guy out there.
Yeah, is there any education programs where we could like have somebody that came in every once in a while to somebody that's active to be able to come in and
So
do
my
some training
discussion.
just to be able to put a hand
Yeah,
on?
so that, Mr. Hume, that's a really good question. So yesterday I got to speak with John Mason, who's the dean of the school. I talked to him for a while. I'm from Indiana originally, grew up over there in the Lawrenceburg area, and I think they're kind of wanting to expand their program over to that area, so he was asking for my help for that. But, I asked him, I said, how are you guys doing with outreach with the schools to get, out there? And that's their goal for 2023 is to advertise and expand that program out in schools. Now I know that, Mr. Alt's not here tonight, I wish he was here. And he talks about their trade program and how well their trade program's doing, and that's, electricians, carpenters, that kind of thing. You don't ever hear any mention about firefighting. So my goal is to get our people into the schools in 2023 and do a little more advertising to help that situation, so.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question is, since he's talked about that and talked about bringing some of those trade programs away from the Oaks and into the school a few kind of each year, if that's something that maybe they would be looking into.
Anything would help right now. I mean, it's one of my boys, one of my guys that worked for me that left us and went down to the city, young guy, his father and his brother both worked down at the city of Cincinnati. And he stopped in to visit at the station about a week ago, and he informed me that the city is still down 77 firefighters. So I said, it is amazing to me what's going on in the fire service. It's a hard job. It's deadly. You're at long hours, and people are not just wanting to pursue that anymore. I guess that's the only thing I can put my thumb on right now.
Do you have money in the budget where, kind of like when somebody goes to school and then if they stay working in a place for a certain period of time, they do like loan forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
where you can get some of these kids who maybe want to do that, and then you get them on the front end where, all right, I'm going to work for Miami Township when I graduate. I'm just thinking out loud because I talked to somebody yesterday whose dad's a firefighter, wants to go into fire service, and that's pretty much, he said, I'm going to go with a department that's going to pay for it, or I'll go to college first and then come back.
So you're hitting the nail on the head, Mr. Nichols. So there were so many fire departments out there interviewing. We were actually in a room with Westchester, which, man, I hate being in a room with Westchester. But just to kind of give you an idea of what Westchester's doing, if you go to work for them and you get hired full time, not only will they send you to paramedic school, that they'll pay you to go to paramedic school. In Miami Township's budget, you know, we don't incorporate that kind of money in our budget. However, the trustees, the Miami Township trustees, I approached them with a program to use some of the COVID money, some of the American Recovery Act money to set up a scholarship fund. So we did set up 3 scholarships. I'm hoping that they're gonna ratify that at the next meeting. We had to get a little creative with how we did it with the contract language, because we're obviously gonna ask them to commit back to us, you know, for that. And then, you know, we have to pass a resolution to ratify that contract. So I'm hoping that the board's gonna do that at the next meeting. We had a meeting this morning, me and Mr. Reniger, to discuss that a little further, and I think we're where we need to be with it. So hopefully that'll pan out.
There's a lot of discussion, I know in Hamilton County, especially about consolidating districts, combining districts. Has there been any discussion?
That's been tried. You know, there's a couple of joint fire districts, especially over on the east side. You know, what happens is they get competitive about, you know, there's this many runs here, there's that many runs there, and how the funding goes, and then
Who's gonna be chief?
who's going, well, it's not right, you think it'd be
Some of that.
political like that, but it's not really that. I tell you what, a lot of that is, once they get that part of it done, it's, you know, passing the amount to sustain the department from each individual village or, you know, whoever's in the joint district. Hard to compete with different, you know, ranges of
And you essentially have
taxes.
you have a joint district with Addison, North Bend, and Austin.
Yeah, so that was, we did walk away, believe it or not. I mean, I know somebody's in here, no, I'm a salesman, but we did walk away with 4 applications that kids were coming out, so, you know, thank God for that. So the rest of page 6, you know, after the staffing, you see the amount of hours we're doing training. You know, we do a lot of people don't realize, or you don't think of it, but we had an amazing speaker come out from Tri-Health, and she did a program on posterior strokes, and I was absolutely amazed. So years ago, when I was a younger firefighter, we kind of concentrate on cardiac and how to handle heart attacks and move the emergency medicine, you know, along that field. And now we're doing strokes. And to see what's happening in Cincinnati's a leader in stroke care. I don't know if you knew that or not, they are. But what we're seeing and what they're having us do in the field is changing. Some of the signs we're seeing, how we look at strokes, the questions we ask are all changing. And this lady came out and did this posterior stroke, and it was great. In fact, within, I'll say 48 hours of her doing the training, they were able to, you know, to ask the right questions and get the person who was actively having a stroke where they needed to be, and it turned out to the positive. So really good training that the training department's doing, you know, for the firefighters. We also, if you see on there, we do a firefighter ability test. We do that annually. We do a practice, usually in the spring, and then in the fall, we do the actual test itself. And it's a test that there's different stations the firefighters have to go to. You know, it tests different parts of their anatomy and stuff to make sure that they're, you know, physically capable of doing the job. We run everybody on the department is required to go through that. Everybody in the department passed. Fire investigations, you'll see that there was no new fire investigations. You'll see on page 7, open cases. We do have an open case. We're receiving information. We've got some new information with the help of the insurance company. I think we're going to go back and do another interview with a subject, and hopefully we'll make some move on that particular case. We had a car seat come out, we still do car seat checks up at the fire department. Come out and they did a car seat check, make sure, you know, it was properly installed. You know, years ago when we started doing that, about 90% of all car seats were installed wrong. So we have these technicians now that can properly look and make sure the car seats are installed properly. We still offer that. Page 7, you'll see that we did a firehouse tour. And it was really, we really had a good time with that. The crews did a great job. That was with the preschool. The kids came out and actually visited the firehouse, and I didn't think the firefighters were gonna let them go, but they finally let them go back to class.
My kids in the picture.
Yeah, yeah, they're having a good time, yeah. I just presented a couple other documents to Mr. Ray Hall about some hydrants and some work we're trying to do. The gentleman left, I wanted to give him my card before I left to see if we could help them. And we also went down and did some work down at Roy Rogers to make sure that they were compliant and got them up to snuff where they needed to be to continue on doing their work down there. So outside of that, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'm open to questions.
In the past, we also offered to do CPR training for residents where the fire department and EMTs would do that and just charge like $10, but to allow that, are we able to, are you doing any of that?
Not right now. I'll tell you what happened with COVID, that went out the door. And trying to get anybody to do mouth-to-mouth on a mannequin right now is pretty much impossible. Nobody wants to do it, nobody wants to, afraid of, you know, swapping germs and everything else. So we're trying to get back to a point where we can. We do teach CPR still without doing the mouth-to-mouth resuscitations. We show them different ways that, you know, to kind of combat that. But we're there, we're getting there, we're just not quite there yet. So that's a good question.
Yeah, because I mean, it's beneficial to the
Absolutely.
the residents to be able to either come here or go up to Shady Lane to do it.
So we've got our public ed department, our training department, we actually partner with a private company that we buy our curriculum from. We just repurchased all that, so that's one of the reasons why I'm saying we're not really doing it right now, but we're getting there to where the point where we're gonna start off again.
Right, and then able to be able to show some of the equipment that you have up there to show them, you know, kind of the hands-free
Yeah.
device. and
Yeah, I think
everything.
you guys, I think you and the mayor were both there when
Right.
we,
When you got that,
our
I think
Lucas
that-
device.
yeah, would be something,
Yeah,
nice to be
absolutely,
able
we can
to-
do something
to
like
show.
that, yeah.
okay.
I'll get them in touch with you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything, anybody?
Do we have any AEDs in our buildings here?
If you do, they're yours and you purchased them. We wouldn't have any here, so that's a good question. You know, I don't know if you do or not.
We had one.
Seems like we had one,
I thought we had
when
one.
Chief Ober was still on, and I can't remember.
It was in one of the police cars, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we put it in the police car. We
Okay.
don't have it here in the building.
Oh, we don't have.
No.
Have you guys ever thought about doing a babysitting course?
We do babysitting courses every
do it?
year.
You
We
do it?
absolutely do, yep.
My daughter went to Delhi.
Huh?
My daughter went to Delhi.
So it's a good babysitting
Yeah.
class?
Yeah.
Visitation,
With a couple girls.
visitation school keeps us busy, really,
Visitation,
honestly,
yes.
that's where most of the kids come from, is visitation. Yeah, I think I hate to say what the number is, but I can tell you there was over 15 kids there that did babysitting class last summer. And we try to do it in the summer, cause
Yeah.
we teach them fire extinguishers, how to use them properly. We teach them CPR. They do a lower level of CPR, but we teach them CPR. We send them to our smokehouse, you know, what to do if your house catches on fire, smoke detectors, you know, how to exit the house properly. We teach all that, and it takes a full 8-hour day.
Oh, yeah.
And we even include lunch in that. So, I don't know if they'll like
I'd like to see
lunch or
some,
not.
I'd like to see some local
Yeah.
kids.
I would
Because
too.
there's a lot of kids that stay at home with their siblings.
Yeah.
And,
We'll make sure that we're putting that out. When we do that, I'll make sure all the villages get it. We'll put it on our Facebook page and our webpage. All good questions. Thank you all very much. If I don't see you before then, Merry Christmas.